What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to a weekly gaming news show, the podcast where two seasoned video game players, myself and my homeboy Todd over here, talk about the week's gaming news. We are your hosts. My name is Trenell. I go by the name True Sonic, and I'm here with Todd, but on this show, we like to call him Up Jump the Boogie.
Up Jump the Boogie?
I say Up Jump the
to
Boogie.
The boogie, to the rhythm, the beat. What?
Yes. You can call him Boogie for short. But we missed you last week. It's great to have you back.
Yeah.
How are you doing, my good friend?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Just trying to catch up. Good to be back. I had some tragedy I had to deal with last week. So,
oh wow, that's unfortunate.
So that's behind me now. So I'm here. I'm back. I'm ready to go.
Ready to ride. Okay, so we got some gaming news that we want to talk about. But before we do, we have our first segment, and I'm going to let Boogie bring us into that to try to get his feet wet a little bit. He's been gone for a little while.
Yeah, so usually, as usual, we start off with a weekly icebreaker. It's basically an icebreaking question, to get us started, get us warmed up and ready to talk for the next hour or so that we're going to be talking.
Right.
And typically, it's about games, but although we do cross over to some pop culture type news, and this week this is more pop culture.
Mm-hmm.
And gaming-wise, the question is, gaming-wise, what would you like to see from Disney's acquisition of 20th Century or 21st Century Fox?
Right, because we were reporting on this in previous episodes when the news was, just brought to everybody's attention that it was going to be happening or that they were in talks, and it looks like everything is going to be going through. So gaming wise, I'm just going to be flat out. I want to see some X-Men games. X-Men was a huge part of my childhood. I grew up on the 90s cartoon on Fox Kids back in the day. And a lot of my early games were X-Men oriented. I had the two X-Men games on the Sega Genesis. Mm-hmm. One of my favorite arcade games was the Konami Beat 'em Up.
The Beat 'em, oh yeah, that game was awesome.
That was my jam.
Yeah.
And X-Men has always just held a very special place in my heart. As far as Marvel goes. So if there's anything gaming wise that I want to see, because Spider-Man seems to have been doing pretty well over the last couple of years. Some of the games have been hit and miss, but Spider-Man has consistently come out with video games every year or so.
Right.
The X-Men haven't been as fortunate.
Yeah, me personally, I would like to see more another. Oh God, what is the game? I can't think of it. The Marvel game.
Which one? Ultimate Alliance?
Yeah, I want to see it. I would like to see another. I would like to see that come back.
Yeah.
I'd like to see Ultimate Alliance. That one had Avengers. It had X-Men. It had the mutants, and there was no Inhumans or whatever, enhanced or any of this nonsense. Nope. I would love to see that come back. And of course, in the news, people are super excited now because Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. Everybody's talking about getting their X-Men back.
Yeah, getting their X-Men DLC. Yeah.
So. Yeah, I would just like to see another Ultimate Alliance come or something similar. That would be awesome to me.
Yeah, the Ultimate Alliance series actually spawned from an X-Men line of games. It was called X-Men Legends. You had X-Men Legends 1 and 2, and then after that, they took the same format and then went into the Ultimate Alliance series. So, I just want a very passionate studio to just take the X-Men license and just go freaking crazy.
Yeah.
Because Disney actually getting the rights back to a lot of their popular characters is really good in my opinion. On the surface it seems pretty good. So hopefully they do the same thing that they've been doing with Spider-Man, giving it to a very passionate team to come together and make a very solid product, because the new Spider-Man is looking better every time I see it. So, you disagree?
Quick time events, man, it's killing me.
Yeah.
It's killing me.
Yeah, I can see that, but what do you like most about Spider-Man games?
I'm still excited. I like the free roam. I like to
exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. As long as they have solid free roaming with some good side quests, the swinging feels good, and the combat is decent. I'm in.
Right. I mean,
it looks beautiful.
As long as I can swing around the city, I can get past the quick time events. I'm just not a fan. They're okay to a point, but it seems like at least most of the stuff they show, it seems like they may be overdoing the quick time events. Yeah. But that might be just because quick time events are better for cinematic effect, right?
Yeah.
So it might be the case of that. They're just doing it because of the cinematic effect, right. and the game is going to have them, of course, but it's not as prominent as it seems to be at this point from what I've seen.
Right. So yeah, that was our weekly icebreaker. If you have a question for us that you would like answered during this segment of the podcast, make sure you reach out to us on our social media. You can see that on the screen here, or we'll have links for you in the description or in the show notes that you can check out. Just use the hashtag weekly icebreaker and ask us any question and we will answer it. Any gaming related question, and we'll answer it during this segment of the show. But we're going to go ahead and move on to the next segment, which is our updates and corrections. And anytime that something happens from a recent episode that we either missed or need to follow up on, we like to do that during this part. So Boogie, why don't you give us our updates and corrections for this?
Okay, so it's not a correction. It's an update, and it's something we just talked about. We talked about a couple of weeks ago. I think it was exactly 2 weeks ago. Disney's reportedly was in talks to buy 21st Century Fox. Right. And they just announced this past week that Disney has purchased 21st Century Fox for something like $53 billion.
Ooh, they all in.
Yeah, it sounds like a lot of money, but if you look at what they're getting, I thought that was kind of low. I was thinking it would be like $100 billion at least.
Right, because they are getting a lot of like Fox related like studios out of this deal.
Yeah, they're getting all of the Fox movie studios, the TV studios. They're getting the big thing, and this is outside of our what we talk
usually
about
cover on the show. Yeah.
But they're getting the regional sports networks, and Disney is ESPN, right? Mm-hmm. So when you look at the regional sports network, Fox is huge for regional sports, and you're talking about the local games when they show the local college games, the local football games, be like the Redskins on Fox, right, that they show around here, or like up in New York, it'd be the Giants and the Jets and so on. But they get in that region, and that is really lucrative, especially when it comes to college sports. Mm-hmm. So that is really lucrative for them, and then they're getting X-Men. Yep. They get the Avatar.
Planet of the Apes,
the original Star Wars, because they didn't have the original Star Wars. In fact, before this deal and until this deal closes, if you go to Disney to buy the Star Wars collection digitally, you can't get Episode 4 because that's Fox.
Yeah, that was done by Fox Studios. Another very interesting thing is that they are actually going to acquire Fox's 30% share of Hulu.
Yes.
And if you didn't already know, Disney already had a 30% share in Hulu, which brings their total to 60%.
Yeah. That's really interesting, considering that they plan on next year launching their own streaming service.
Right. They're planning on launching their own streaming services. So, that's going to leave a lot of people wondering, like, what do they plan on doing with Hulu?
Right. Are they going to divest it? They're just going to sell it off, or they're going to keep it, or are they going to just take it over and make Hulu the Disney streaming service? Right. It'd be interesting. I mean, and they just released that new Marvel show on Hulu, the exclusive Marvel show, The Runaways.
Yeah, they did. They're also going to get networks like National Geographic, and the FX networks as well. Yeah. So that's a lot of content. That's a lot of stuff coming over to Disney.
Yeah, it's a ton, and like I said, it was interesting. I thought the price was kind of low, but
because it's what, like 53.
Yeah, 53 billion, something like that. I was thinking it'd be closer to 100, but apparently, because hell, Disney can make that in 2 movies.
Yeah, I don't know. It seems like, I don't know. Like when you look at it, it seems like Fox was just trying to just like get rid of him. Like
trying to unload it. Right. That's what it felt like to me. Like they don't want to be in. They just don't want it.
Right. Because I mean, besides the Marvel movies that clearly had a lot of input from outside sources, like the Deadpool movies. Mm-hmm. and the Logan movie, it did not really seem like Fox was in the best place to handle those franchises, especially the Fantastic Four.
Oh my gosh, what they did to the Fantastic Four, they just destroyed
even the original two movies with the original cast where Chris Evans and
when
he wasn't Captain America and he was
Jessica Alba.
Yeah, like those movies are bad too.
Yeah. So, it's all been bad. Yep, it's all been bad.
So hopefully we get some cool stuff out of it. I'm more than sure that we're gonna get some video games out of it. Yeah, it's just a weird, not a weird time, but it's a very interesting time because 3 years ago, like Fox and Disney, they have been known to have a very strained relationship. With Marvel trying to get the rights back from them, for quite some time, and them just not letting up, just pushing out movies just to push them out, just to keep the rights to those characters,
just to keep the rights.
Yeah. So
and the thing is, they have a couple. I mean, they had a hit with Deadpool.
Yeah,
and this new
Logan.
And Logan, and this new movie that's coming out, the horror movie,
The New Mutants.
Yes, that looks amazing.
It looks interesting. I'm actually very interested in that, and it seems like a little weird that they would go the horror route.
Right?
Yeah,
but I've heard this a lot in a lot of podcasts and even a lot of editorials, op-eds I've read, is what Marvel has done, and this is Marvel proper. Think about the Avengers and stuff. Is when they made their quote unquote superhero movies, they didn't make them superhero movies. They made them movies about a subject with superheroes in it. So it would be like, it's a heist movie with superheroes. It's a love story with superheroes.
Okay.
It's a horror movie with superheroes. So when you make it about that, instead of being like, this is going to be the superhero movie and we're going to do all the superhero cliches, and the story seems to fall apart when they do it that way. So it's interesting that they've taken that tact as well now. But I think that's the best. I think that's the best way to go about it. Make your movie and just add the characters.
Yeah. We'll just see how well it goes. The New Mutants are ambiguous enough as characters to a lot of the non-comic book readers, where I feel like it'll be a really good way to have people identify with these characters quicker than doing like a whole 5 movie series where you have to bring everybody in. So I don't know. It could work. It could fall flat on its face. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah. So we have another. Oh no, that was the only correction that we had.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, but yeah, super interesting. We'll just have to wait and see what Mickey Mouse does with all of this power.
Yeah, no.
I've been seeing a lot of memes where you remember, have you seen the Infinity War trailer?
The who? Infinity War? Yeah, I've seen it. Yes.
So you've seen like all the Thanos memes or whatever.
Yeah.
There was one where instead of Thanos' face, it was Mickey Mouse, and they had put the Infinity Gauntlet on him, and like the Infinity Stones were like Marvel, Star Wars, Fox, and all that. It was funny.
That's awesome.
It's like Mickey Mouse has all the power.
Yeah, he does. Speaking of Star Wars, I went and saw that yesterday, man.
Was it good? I'm not hip to any of the new series yet. I have to watch I have to watch New Hope. I have to catch up. I got some catching up to do.
Yeah, I seriously enjoyed it. It was really good. Really good.
But so that was our updates and corrections. If you ever catch us slipping, let us know down in the comment sections, and we'd be more than happy to correct ourselves during the updates and corrections segment of the podcast. So let's with that, we can go ahead and move on to the quick hits. And the quick hits are rapid fire stories that don't necessarily deserve a deep dive, but there are stories that we do want to address with you guys. And up first, we have Street Fighter V.
Yeah, Street Fighter V.
Yo, lots of news coming out of Street Fighter V. Capcom is definitely trying to impress some folks with this one because after the, I believe it was the Capcom Cup, after the Capcom Cup ended, they showed off 2 individual trailers. One of them announcing the fact that Sakura would be a part of the season 3 line of characters, and then at the same time showing the entirely brand new intro to the Street Fighter V Arcade Edition, which showed off the rest of the season 3 characters. some including some newcomers and some veterans, some veterans alike. I'm very excited about this because one of my favorite characters, especially in recent Street Fighter games, Cody, is making a return. The final fight continues. I cannot wait to see what they do with the character because he's not rocking his jail outfit anymore. No. He's a little bit more suited and booted.
Yeah, he's a Dapper Don nowadays, right?
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. I might have to see what Capcom does with his character.
He must have won those appeals.
He did something. I mean, because he looked good.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, they got Sagat. Sagat's always been Street Fighter. He's always been a favorite of mine.
Yeah, Sagat is. I pronounce it Sagat. He's always been the original mini boss of fighting games for me. And I grew up on Street Fighter, and before you get to Bison, you got to go through Sagat. He was gonna freaking tiger knee you right in the face.
Tiger uppercut.
Yeah, that's my guy. Hitting those tigers. The other two new characters, Flake and G, will also be joining the cast. I have no idea who these two characters are. Yeah,
it's unclear. And then don't forget the redheaded Brazilian.
Oh yeah, Blanca. Yeah, Blanca making a return. Is it red or is it orange? I don't know.
Orange.
What it is.
Yeah, maybe orange.
He's looking a little bit more feral than he used
to. Yeah. I like the new art update. I like it.
He looks pretty cool. He need to trim those arm hairs a little bit, in my opinion. But it looks good. There's going to be a lot of changes coming up with the new update, the arcade edition of Street Fighter V. Of course, these characters can be purchased outright with the Season 3 pass, or you can get them individually using the in-game currency fight money. I might have to put some time in because I'm not going to buy none of them, but I do wish to play as Cody, so I might have to put some time in on Street Fighter coming up real soon.
I had to smack my hand this weekend because Street Fighter is on sale for, I think it was $17, $17.99. But I know for sure when Arcade Edition comes out, you're going to get all of the DLC characters. And
it's not going to be for $17 though.
It's going to be $39.99.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. But you get the season 1 and season 2 characters, as opposed to buying it for $17.99 now and still having to either earn those characters or buy them separately.
Right. Yeah. No, I agree. I already own the game on PC. I have it on PlayStation 4 as well. So I'll get the free update and I'll use the in-game currency to go ahead and get at least 3 of them. Sakura is always a fan favorite. I can't wait to play as her as well. And Cody, I'm so excited, man. As a Final Fight boy, I'm excited to see the homeboy Cody Travers back in action, looking good. Hopefully, one of his alternate costumes has him in the jail outfit, because that's tried and true right there.
I can't imagine they don't. They've been bringing a lot of the old classic costumes back.
I like Sagat's design too. They didn't veer off too far from his original look. Gave him a little bit of some pants and some the little armbands or whatever. Right. So it doesn't look too different. I'm glad they didn't change his physical features in the update or in the redesign.
In the redesign, yeah. It's cool
because he has a classic look, man.
I think with all of those characters, the 4 classic characters, I think they did a good job with all of them. They didn't veer too far off.
Yeah. The only drastic change was Cody, and it was, it's just his outfit. So we'll have to see what happens overall. But a lot of things coming up really soon for Street Fighter V. I believe the update is next month on the 16th.
The 16th, yep, January 16th.
January 16th is the update. It's free if you already have it, and it will be included in the the retail release on the 16th as well. So. Yeah. Go ahead and get ready. Get ready for the next freaking battle, because it's going to be a lot of Street Fighter 5 going on very, very soon.
Very soon. That's right.
As if you thought the freaking hype had died down. Here we go. Yeah, but just to go on a little side tangent, I feel like this is something that not Nintendo, but Capcom needs to do. They need to get in the good graces with consumers. Because, with their last 2 releases, Street Fighter V and Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, they've left a lot to be desired, especially on the side of the roster. And
Right.
that's more for Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite than anything. But I feel like with them doing this, it leaves a nice precedent, and hopefully in Infinite we can get just as much love as Street Fighter
Yeah.
5 is getting.
The Marvel vs. Capcom thing, I kind of don't really blame them because they kind of have their hands tied when it comes to the licensing. Because the biggest complaint everybody gets is there's no X-Men, and X-Men is pretty much the reason the game was initially released, right?
Yeah.
That was the genesis of the game, but they could have said, okay, we're not going to release it until we can secure the license, or they just release the game and try to give some kind of fan service. And I think they went with option B.
Yeah.
And is met with some
mixed reception. Yeah.
Yeah, mixed results. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but well, we'll see. It does look like Capcom is in the fan service mood. Because with characters like Sakura, anytime you bust out Sakura, people are going to be happy. Sakura is definitely guaranteed to gain some smiles over here. But so that's Street Fighter 5. Let's go ahead and move on to the next quick hit. What we got?
The Atari box. I know everybody's been dying to get their hands on their Atari box.
This is sarcasm, ladies and gentlemen.
Pre-orders were supposed to start this past Thursday. Atari box is going to be about $250, $300. So Xbox One range, Xbox One PS4 range pricing. But they delayed the pre-orders. They haven't given a new date. They specifically said that in a statement, they said it's taken a little bit longer than expected to create the ecosystem and platform their community deserves. Mm-hmm. There's no new date for pre-orders. And the thing is, they're pushing this thing out. They want to do pre-orders, but I haven't heard a single word about games.
I mean, I'm assuming this is just going to be like a Steam machine. I don't know how else they could, expect for this thing to sell. Right. There's no. Yeah, go ahead.
But that's the problem. They haven't explained that. They haven't said that it's its own console and games are going to be released for the consoles, same as Xbox and PlayStation, or it's just going to be a PC Lite. They haven't said that, so nobody knows exactly what it is. And I don't know how you expect somebody to go ahead and pre-order a $300 machine and you don't know what you're going to be doing with it.
Yeah, it's very, very interesting marketing plan they got going on here because I'm not sure how many people are just willing to come out of the pockets with $200-$300 for something that they don't know, and they don't know exactly what they're getting. This isn't the time for them to be doing that. The loot box craze has if anything has showed people that people want to know exactly what they're getting for their money.
Right.
And I'm not hating on the Atari box. I mean, the design is sleek as hell. It's a nice looking device, but what will it do?
Is it? Yeah, what is it exactly? And
I don't know.
That's the problem, and that might be part of the reason, because we don't know what it is. I can't imagine there's going to be people beating down the door to pre-order this thing without knowing what it is.
No.
And we still don't know what it is. We just know that it's a machine that's going to play games. We don't know what type of games. We don't know who's making the games. We don't know any of that. So,
yeah, we'll have to wait and see. And have they given us a new date on when the pre-orders are going to go out?
Nothing. Just that it's delayed.
Yeah,
indefinitely.
So to be determined on the Atari box. We'll have to wait and see what happens with it. Let's go ahead and move on to the next quick hit.
We got some more litigation as Crytek is suing Star Citizen or the developer behind Star Citizen, which is like a CIG and what's the RI or what's the other company? It's two groups.
It's two groups.
That's making Star Citizen.
Right.
And the lawsuit is stemming. So Star Citizen was originally going to be built on the Crytek engine. I think sometime last year, a little bit earlier, they moved off of Crytek and they moved to Amazon's system, which is Lumberyard.
Okay.
And Crytek says they noticed that some of the code on some of the marketing material is Crytek code. Now, to complicate things is Lumberyard that developed the engine, the Amazon engine, is actually an offshoot of the Crytek engine that Amazon bought. So, it's quite possible that the Crytek code they're seeing is code that's left over in Lumberyard from that fork.
Right.
I don't know. It seems like to me, a Crytek might just be a bit butthurt because they moved off their system, but I mean off their engine. I don't know, but lawsuits are lawsuits, man. The reason I brought this up is because Star Citizen was a crowdfunded game. It's like 5 years overdue, and this is not going to do anything but delay it more.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know, man. Crytek, I don't know. We haven't heard a whole lot about the Crytek engine in recent years. I mean, you don't really hear anything about these guys. I don't know, but if they are using their code, they have the legal right to go ahead and pursue it.
To go after them, yeah. But
I'm curious as to what Amazon's take in this is. Are they gonna protect it, or like because they're using the lumberyard engine?
Right. So Amazon, as far as I know, Amazon hasn't been named, so they're probably not going to, unless they file an amicus brief, which is basically them saying, "Hey, look, we see this lawsuit going on. We think this is what we think about it. You should, we think." And if they were to file something, it'd be like, well, they're using Lumberyard, which is a derivative of Crytek, which is why they may be seeing some of their code in there. And I mean that would be the only thing they would do, I would guess. And it might be in their best interest to do that, because if people are getting sued by Crytek for using Lumberyard, they might not use it. So
right,
you might hear something from Amazon. They might file that type of brief and just to say, this is our 2 cents and this may be why this is going on.
Yeah. The developer of this Cloud Imperium.
Yeah, Cloud Imperium group, and then the second is RSI.
RSI, yeah.
Well, what's the RSI stand for? I forget. But yeah, so they've been working on this for forever. Hopefully, this lawsuit doesn't cause any additional delays.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't imagine that it won't, but we'll just have to wait and see. Sorry to you, all of you Star Citizen loyalists that have been waiting on this game, but. Looks like they got a lawsuit on their hands, so we'll see where it goes, and we'll report on it when there's more news to come from it. We have one more quick hit. Let's go ahead and tackle that. What we got?
This is a kind of an interesting one. Smart Glass, or the Xbox app for phones, the mobile app. It's on iOS and Android. Is looking to on their beta
Windows
app.
Phone. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, it was on Windows Phone. I guess it might still be on there.
I'm sure it is.
The half of Windows Phone that's out there.
Yeah, man.
But Party Chat is coming to mobile, and right now it's live on the beta app, which is only available on Android. The beta app is not available on iOS, but it's available on the beta app. And what it's allowing you to do is from your phone join into parties on Xbox. So if you got a bunch of friends that's currently playing on Xbox, and you want to jump in a party, say, "Yo, what you up to?" Or they want to hail you like, "Look, we're about to go raid. We're about to run these comps. Where you at?" You can quickly converse with them. It's not the thing. It's not the same level as the Nintendo Switch, whereas that is your only chat option. But it is an option, and you can, in theory, if you wanted to, chat using your phone instead of chatting through your Xbox. Maybe your headset broke or something to that effect, or what have you. But I mean, it's a cool feature.
It's a fantastic alternative to a very well implemented system that's on the console.
Right. That's exactly what I was going to say. It is a good add-on. If it's the only way to chat, it's bad. But if it's a supplement to a system that's very good already in place, it's definitely welcome.
Right. Yeah. So currently Xbox does what Nintendo don't. This is how you do a mobile app. And I've actually found myself using the Xbox app in the past just to type out messages or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
I hate freaking search and destroying freaking the keys on the controller. So that's what I primarily use it for.
Yeah, I exclusively use the app when I'm doing LFGs. It's when I'm running LFG for comps, or maybe for a Destiny raid or something. I'm using the app. I'm definitely not searching, like you said, search and destroy on the joystick. No way.
I hate that. I hate it. But yeah, pretty awesome. Is this already out? It's coming soon.
It's right now. It's in the beta app.
It's in the beta.
So if you're on Android and you have the Xbox, I think it's called Smart. It might still be called Smart Glass.
I think it's just called Xbox One. I think that's what it's called.
But if you have the beta, or you can go download the beta app and you can partake right now.
So it's pretty solid, yeah. And the beta app is only on Android.
That's right.
Pretty cool. I don't see myself using it personally because I don't really play too many online games on Xbox at the moment. But yeah, nice supplement to the actual like in console freaking chat system.
Being an iOS guy, I don't have access, but when it does come out, I will definitely troll my clanmates because a lot of times they're on playing while I'm doing daddy time. I will jump on and start yelling and screaming in their ears. It'd be fun.
That sounds like a plan. Sounds like a plan. That was our quick hits. If you have any stories that you would like for us to cover or just get our opinions on, you can submit them to us via our social media. You can see it down there in the corner. But if you are listening, we'll have links in the description or in the show notes that you can take a look at. And submit us any kind of stories that you would like for us to, talk about. Will most likely land in the quick hit section if it's not already in the top 5. So with that, we can go ahead and move on to the top 5 news stories. But before we jump into that, I do want to give a quick shout out to our sponsor, the New Challenger Discord. If you are new to fighting games, you want to get good, the New Challenger Discord is the place for you. Go to newchallenger.gg, join the Discord, and get proficient in your favorite fighting game with your favorite fighting game character. They are currently supporting Street Fighter V, Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, Injustice 2, Tekken 7. With the future games that are going to be released, like Dragon Ball FighterZ, already in pre-production. They already have plans to support that game, and I actually plan on being very very into that scene. I'm very excited for that game. It comes out in just a couple of months. I cannot wait. But yeah, the website is newchallenger.gg. Also hit them up on Twitter at newchallengertv, and follow them on Twitch because they do have bi-weekly tournaments that you can watch and or partake in. They also have weekly bi-weekly giveaways. What else do? They have the beginner breakdown where they take a user submitted video and go over the ins and outs of what you need to do in order to improve your game. They have one-on-one coaching, group coaching. It's the perfect place to get good, from a foundation. It's a very good place to get your foundation going. So again, that is newchallenger.gg. Huge shout out to the founder of the Discord, Mr. Vinegar, and also shouts out to Mount Lover, who is a commentator. He is a coach for Street Fighter V, and he's also a moderator for the Discord channel. So shouts out to those guys. Thank y'all for sponsoring this podcast episode. And with that, let's go ahead and move on to the top 5 stories. What we got first?
So we got Ubisoft. Ubisoft is put in a lot of work this past week here.
Oh, wow.
So first, one of our favorite games to want to love, but we just can't do it.
For Honor.
For Honor, yes. So
yep, I knew exactly what you was talking about.
For Honor has been having its issues. And one of the issues is it had some kind of hybrid peer-to-peer connection that was pain to, and you've dealt with it. It's horrible.
It's shoddy at best.
Right. So right now it looks like they're working on dedicated servers. They promised this back a while back. Once the issues came to a head, but then they're now promising dedicated servers in For Honor. They actually have it in one of their beta builds. I think it's actually in the alpha build right now on PC. It seems, from what I've read and what I've checked a couple of forums, it seems to be still pretty unstable. But I mean, when you're in the alpha build, a pre-production build, that's to be expected. Right. But it looks like they're going to be moving to dedicated servers, so hopefully that will stabilize the connection issues. As far as the gameplay issues, that's still a problem.
Yeah, that's still a problem. I mean, just the pay to win aspect of For Honor is one of the reasons why I stopped playing it. The connection was like just like icing on the cake, you know?
I mean, it was an issue where, like, if you're playing a match 4-on-4 and one person leaves from either team, the match, not only will the match blow up, and we've experienced this firsthand, if you were partied up with people, your party will blow up too.
Yeah.
So it was a mess, a holy hot mess. And the game, it should be so much more fun than it is. And it's just, they just didn't look, and they didn't realize that people were fucked up or shitty.
Yeah.
Because people people get in these games and their fun apparently is just winning. Either they're having fun by only winning or by griefing. And they just do the cheesiest stuff. Like they'll pick like the fast attack characters and spam a single attack.
Just because what's it called? For Honor is essentially a arena fighting game. Right. Essentially. Mm-hmm. So, you're always going to get people that, go in looking for like, the easiest route to victory. So you got like the shortest amount of frames, the most invincibility. This is how fighting game how fighting game meta is created.
Yeah, and it's just that it seemed that Ubisoft, they just weren't prepared for the community to do what they've done with the game. And it should, like I said, it should be a great game. It's just not fun playing with people, especially when you see somebody that's a level 14, but they have all of the high level gear,
right?
Because loot boxes.
Because loot boxes. So, hopefully they can fix the connection issue. I don't know. I don't really see myself getting back on For Honor. It's been one of the games where I am glad that I was able to experience it when it first came out at a very
early stage.
At a very early stage, but once the meta had been created, it became a very, very stressful place to try to play.
It's unfun.
Yeah. There was no honor in For Honor.
No, not at
all. That's where I had to let go.
All right,
but I mean, they're still working on the game. They're still trying to improve it. So I mean, you can't blame them for that.
Nope, not at all.
Can't blame them for that. What we got next? We got some more Ubisoft news.
Yeah, Ubisoft news. So this is actually an odd crossover, but it makes tons of sense. The Predator invaded Ghost Recon Wildlands.
Yep.
That is actually super cool because if you're familiar with the Predator, the original Predator was in the jungle. Mm-hmm. And if I remember correctly, Arnold Schwarzenegger and his crew were hunting drug dealers that were enslaving the local population, right?
Right.
So in Ghost Recon Wildlands, you are hunting drug dealers.
Juggalos, yeah.
Yeah, and you're in the jungle, so it makes 100% perfect sense that the Predator would show up. So on December 14th is when it started. The Predator is in game. You can do it. You can hunt them single player, or you can do 4-player co-op. Taking them down get you some cool Predator themed gear. There's also a Predator themed loot box in there if you want to go ahead and purchase that through the in-game store. That gets you some new gear and weapons. But I think it's really cool. I think one of the things you can get is a Predator mask that gives you the Predator vision. That's super cool. I mean, if I had this game, I would be all in on this Predator crossover for sure.
Yeah, Wildlands seemed like a game that I would want to play, but I just didn't get around to it.
Yes, I was all super hyped for it. Then I played the demo, and it was utterly disappointing to me, and I didn't bother.
Yeah, it seemed like a game that I would want to play. It seemed like a really cool co-op game, but
all right. So Ghost Recon had historically been a tactical shooter, right?
Yeah.
And what they turned it into was an open world shooter with some tactical elements, and it just didn't feel like.
I mean, Wildlands was essentially just a clone of The Division in the jungle. Is what it looked like. I like the Recon series, the Ghost Recon series, and this didn't feel like a Ghost Recon game to me, so I just stayed away.
Yeah, I didn't bother.
Yeah. I feel you. And yeah, we have a couple more stories, and this one I can take because it's talking about Assassin's Creed. And speaking of Assassin's Creed, I recently beat Origins, and then like I went back and I started playing Syndicate again, man.
Oh, really?
I love Assassin's Creed, man. I just remembered how much I love this damn series. It's freaking fun.
Yeah, the thing is, we all got burned. I did
think
too,
that was it. Yeah,
with the what was the one before Syndicate? I can't think of it now. Unity. Yeah, we all got burned with it. And Syndicate, I didn't think it was a bad. I have it, and I played maybe the first hour and a half of it, and I kind of enjoyed it. I liked what I played. But Syndicate, it just had that bad taste in your mouth. And when you had that bad taste in your mouth. I mean, you eat burgers all the time. You eat a bad burger, you can't eat burgers for a while.
Yeah,
it's that same type of thing, right?
Yeah. And I was thinking about the same thing because everybody knows Ubisoft went on a break with the Assassin's Creed series and came back 2 years later with Origins. It seemed like that was appropriate. Like that was the perfect amount of time away from Assassin's Creed for them to come back and really blow everybody away. And they did, man. In my opinion, Assassin's Creed Origins is a fantastic game overall. Like it is good.
I'm going to start that this week for sure.
Yeah, definitely start that. Okay, so let's get to the freaking story.
Yeah.
What we're here to talk about is how Assassin's Creed Origins is adding a harder difficulty and horde mode to the game as a free update. So this is actually really cool. And the horde mode is, nobody's ever a stranger to the horde mode concept. It's just endless waves of enemies. But that never really made sense in the Assassin's Creed series until now. Because if you've never played Origins, it basically overhauls the combat system to more of like I would say like a God of War style, instead of like the slow methodical system that they had in previous games. So horde mode, it's a good fit. The fighting system warrants it. And the harder mode or the harder difficulty that they came out is known as Nightmare difficult. And what exactly does it do? Well, it turns up the enemy stats and makes them tougher. And it also gives a lot of places like a higher recommended level. So basically, tougher enemies. In most cases, you take more damage, essentially. And Assassin's in Origins is no pushover. I played on the hardest difficulty available at launch, which I believe was just hard mode. And there was some moments where I would start a mission and then I would had to go somewhere else because I was getting two shot and it was not fun. But I don't know if I'm gonna go through the entire game again on the Nightmare difficulty, but I do want to try out the horde mode, see if there's any like extra achievements or anything, any unlockables, because I'm really into Assassin's Creed right now. I'm currently playing Syndicate and I'm having a blast. I'm not even gonna lie to you.
Yeah. So I got my time back, so I'm going to start Assassin's. I've been dying to play it. I haven't had time recently, but now I've got my time back. My evenings are going to be back to me. So in the evenings, I'm going to start my Assassin's Creed. I plan on starting that tomorrow.
Do it. It is
sure.
Good. You will not be disappointed, my boy. We have one more story with Ubisoft, and this one is a little upsetting. Because we got some delays. Both Far Cry 5 and The Crew 2 have been delayed. Why don't you go ahead and explain that?
Okay. So Far Cry 5 has been pushed. It's only a month, February 27th through March 27th. The Crew has been moved from March 16th to the first half of the next fiscal year, which is that would push it past. The first half would be between October and because the end of the fiscal year is September, right? September 30th. So you're looking between October 1st and March 31st of 2019. It looks like it's somewhere in there. So that's, for people that are looking for The Crew 2, that's disappointing.
Yeah, I'm not really like a Crew 2 type of guy. I didn't play the first one. The second one does look interesting. I don't think it's going to be anything that I pick up. What I am looking forward to is Far Cry 5. And if they're saying they want to delay it for a month for extra polish, I'm all for it.
And they in a couple of statements they made, they referenced the extended development time of Assassin's Creed Origins, and its critical and commercial success. So it seems like they think, oh, look, if we give them time to actually finish the damn game, people will like it.
Yeah.
So I don't have a problem. I never have a problem with developers taking more time to polish their game. Just don't take more time to polish a game and release an unpolished game.
Right. Yeah. And this is Far Cry's first time back in like like some kind of a familiarity, with like urban areas and guns instead of the previous game Primal, which had you like back in the Stone Ages with hooks and spears and stuff.
Yeah. I thought that was an odd decision, but
I thought it was too until I played it, and it was really good.
Was it? Yeah.
Oh God, I love it. Yeah, I've been a fan. I'm a fan of Far Cry, man. I've been playing Far Cry since 2. Back on 360.
That's the last one I played was 2.
Oh, so
wait,
good.
no, was it 3?
Far Cry 3 was the one with Vaz.
Yeah, so it was before that. 2. Yeah, 2 was the last one I played. Yep.
Yeah, no, 2 was the one where you could catch malaria.
Yeah, yep, that's the one. Yeah, I haven't played, and I didn't even play. I played maybe half of that. I don't know. I lost interest. Started playing something else at the time, whatever. I barely remember it, but I do know I had that. I played that. I didn't pick anything up after that.
Yeah. No, I'm looking forward to Far Cry 5. My girlfriend is looking forward
I remember it. Yeah, she wrecked Far Cry 4.
Primal. Yeah, she wrecked that game. Yeah, she played Primal. She destroyed. She 100, like damn near 100% completed that game.
Wow,
like that's collected cool. Everything, just hours on hours, just sitting there collecting stuff, getting like every little marker. I'm like, babe, you don't have to go to every single marker on your map. She's like, then why is it there? I was like, true that.
No, there's no comeback to that.
Yeah, no comeback to that. So only a month delay for Far Cry 5. I mean, we was waiting until next year anyway. Another month isn't going to kill me. Right. I cannot wait to actually get my hands on that game.
Yeah, that's going to be fun. That gives you a month to catch up on something else.
Right.
Before it comes out, right?
Right, yeah, I can probably finish Syndicate by that time. But yeah, that was our Ubisoft, the Ubi news. Yeah, that was our Ubisoft block. Let's go ahead and move on to the next story.
So we got Destiny 2 back in the news.
Destiny 2.
Yeah. So we talked about Destiny 2. They released the Curse of Osiris on the 5th. And when they released it, they locked previously available content for players behind the paywall. So they
and this isn't new to Destiny 2. They did the same thing in Destiny 1.
Well, yes and no. So in Destiny 1, the way it went is when a new expansion came out, a new raid came out. So the new raid wouldn't be available to players that didn't buy the expansion, but the old raid would be. So the first raid would be. So the way Destiny had been releasing it is they release the game, they give it a week or two, and they release the raid, and then they give it another week or two, and they release the hard version of the raid. And that's the same thing they did here. Then they released the DLC, and that DLC will come with its own raid. A normal raid, and then down the road they release a hard version of the raid. What they did on this one is they took the original raid that was released with the vanilla Destiny 2 up the level to 330, which you can only get to with the
once
DLC.
You have the DLC,
and essentially locking everybody else out. And that was the problem. Now they locked them out of other stuff, like they locked them out of the Nightfall, but that was that part to the core. So the thing is, as the Destiny community is used to, the new DLC coming out, I'll probably get locked out of the Nightfall, but I'll still be able to do my raids. I'll still be able to do some of the PvP. And they essentially were just locked out of all of that stuff.
Yeah.
And that was the problem. And on top of that, by them getting locked out of the Nightfall and the raid, they got locked out of a achievement.
Oh yeah, you couldn't get the platinum achievement.
Yeah, there's an achievement that was locked. That was basically complete the prestige raid or complete a prestige Nightfall. You get this achievement, so they were locked out of that as well. So they had to roll that back. So they did do that, and all is well with the world apparently.
It's just been a really, really weird back and forth with Destiny and its player base over the last couple of weeks.
They're just making the same mistakes. I mean, it's not the same exact thing, but the mistakes they're making are having the same effect on the community that it had before, and what that effect is, people are leaving the game.
Right. And in this current climate, people want what they paid for, and that's it. Getting locked out of previously accessible content is not the way to go in 2017, man.
And
it doesn't. Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, and to compound that is they, for the first time, released it on PC. PC players were locked out of this content after about a month, and the top tier players, they'll blow through and do the raid within a couple of weeks. But like normal people, casuals, or some people just above casual, they might not do a raid. They might not build themselves up to do a raid for 6 weeks. It takes, if you don't play it ad nauseum, it takes a little while to get yourself powerful enough to do the raid. Right. And then on top of that, getting powerful enough, it takes you a few tries to actually go through it. I mean, if you go into the raid blind, like some people like to do, they'll lock them off, cells off of spoilers. They go through the raid blind. It can take you 6 to 8 hours to get through it, and some people won't sit through it all at once. They'll do it piecemeal. A couple of hours here, a couple of hours there, until they figure it all out, and then can put it together.
Right.
And by them being, locking somebody out of that, that's just a bad move on their part.
Yeah, it was a bad move on their part. Somebody over there should have known that this would have garnered the backlash that it did, but it looks like they hit a 180 on it. They flipped the switch, so now all of the day one content is available, and it looks like
not all of it. They're still locked out of the hard mode Nightfall. They can still do the Nightfall.
Right.
The easy mode, but not the hard mode.
Right. But what they were saying is that they're going to make it easier for people that aren't at the level that they need to be without getting the new DLC. They'll make it easier for them to get to that level with the vanilla content. So, I don't know.
Yeah, I just... what this says to me is that they are having a hard time with providing content when they have to move old content, because before they didn't move the old content. They left the old content behind. The new DLC, you got new content. And the people that didn't want to buy the DLC or just wanted to wait, they got left behind playing the old content. And that's fine, because the raid right now, whatever raid is called, I can't think of it now, but the Leviathan raid, the way it is now, it's still relevant because people still go back to play it, either because they like it, they haven't gotten all of the stuff, or now the prestige version, they have gotten all the prestige stuff. So people will still go back and get it because the drop rates of shit are horrible. But that's another story for another day. It seems to me that they released this DLC, is very light on content. It didn't have its own raid. It had a raid like level, but not a full raid, and it just seems like the content is just not there.
Yeah, I thought it was a little early for them to be coming out with an expansion, a paid expansion anyway.
That's what they did last time. I mean, the first expansion came out in December. Last time it came out right around December. I think it came out like the second. It did come out, maybe it came out a week or two later, but it did come out in December.
Okay. Yeah. Well, this is one of the reasons, it's not one of the reasons I didn't buy the game. I didn't buy the game because it just didn't interest me in the time, but it's one of the reasons why I'm glad I'm not actively playing it, because I wouldn't have the money to invest into it to keep myself going. And that's why I dropped it initially. When the first expansion came out, I was like, yep, I'm not doing that.
Yes, but both times. Last time I bought the collector's edition. This time I bought the collector's or the whatever. So I get the first two expansions. But I mean, it's gonna take them. And I'm a huge Destiny fan. This second expansion that comes out is gonna have to be epic, or I'm probably going to walk away too. I'm not going to spend any money after this next expansion if they just going to give me hour worth of story content and a handful of weapons.
It's not enough in this day and age. Not for an expansion. Not that just doesn't warrant it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's Destiny news. We can go ahead and move on to the next story, and we are talking about Nintendo and this is Boogie's favorite topic every single week. We just talk about how good the Nintendo Switch is selling. I love it.
Yeah.
Get out your calculators because we about to talk some numbers. Let's go.
Yeah, Nintendo's sold 10 million Switches in the first 9 months. That's a significant number, because it best pretty much everybody except for the PlayStation 4. If you look at the numbers, the PlayStation 4 sold 13.5 million units in 10.5 months. So a little more, about a month and a half longer, and that included the holiday season. Xbox One in its first 10.5 months sold only 7 million. And again, that also included the holiday season. These Nintendo Switch numbers were until December 4th. So I think it included Black Friday sales, but it didn't include all of the holiday sales. And to put it in more perspective, the Wii U in 5 years sold 13.5 million units. So, 10 million Switches in the first 9 months, that is a huge number. They came out with the heavy hitters with the Zelda, our Game of the Year competitor with the Zelda Breath of the Wild, Game of the Year competitor with Mario Odyssey, Splatoon 2, which was super popular from the Wii U, and
Xenoblade Chronicles 2 just released.
Yeah, so they came out with a very strong launch lineup.
Window. It wasn't because the launch lineup was a little scarce in my opinion.
Yeah.
They did have Zelda, but I'm talking about the entire launch window.
With the first year, right? Yeah, that's what I'm referring to. Exactly what you're talking about.
They came strong.
It came very strong. It's just I'm interested to see if they can capture. So the 10 million units are going to be definitely the hardcore fans and some of the more aware casual fans.
Right.
Now I'm wondering if they're going to be able to maintain that
momentum
and be able to translate that to more casual fans. If there's going to be more people that's, sometimes I play games, sometimes I don't, if they're going to buy a Switch, because at the end of the day, this Switch is a one-trick pony. It's a video game system only. It's a good video game system connected to your TV, and the fact that you can get up and walk around with it, the portability is awesome with it. But for people that aren't looking for that, they're just looking for, I want to play a game, but I also needed to stream my Netflix. I also need to play Hulu or Amazon, play a disc for me or something like that. The Switch is not going to be an option. So
that's not what it's for.
So it's definitely going to be interesting to see, being, like I said, a one-trick pony, if it can capture the casuals, the dirty casuals as they're called.
Yeah. One thing I'd like to say is that with 2017 coming to a close, it looks like Nintendo could stop playing catch up as far as the third party games. They've been coming out with a lot of games that were out either last gen or this gen, just in the last couple of years. So hopefully they can get some more third party support, and not just in the form of re-releases, because we got a lot of re-releases on the Switch this year. So going forward, it would be nice to have games launch on the Switch as well.
Right.
So that's something that a lot of people in the Switch and Nintendo community are looking forward to.
The problem with that is the Switch is underpowered. So it's not trying to get those simultaneous. We saw what happened when they tried to do a simultaneous FIFA release, right? Or the simultaneous NBA 2K release. They both were ripe for problems and missing features. So that's going to be interesting to see what they can do on that front. But I'm not going to hold out a ton of hope.
Yeah. We'll have to wait and see. There's still a couple of games that I'm looking forward to. For the Switch, that were just announced. So Metroid Prime 4 is no pun intended, is a prime example of a game that I am looking forward to. We'll see what 2018 holds for some of their first party games as well. Because what could they come out with? We got a Mario and a Zelda in the same 9 months.
Well, you guys, they're gonna get Metroid. They got to bring a Smash Brothers. That's going to be necessary, and then Mario Kart.
We got Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. I don't see them coming out with another
Mario Kart, right?
Oh.
Yeah. I don't know. Other than that, I don't know.
We'll have to see.
Maybe
Yeah,
some new hotness.
Yeah, I don't know. It's going to be a very interesting year for the Switch in 2018. Gonna have to wait and see though. Next up, what we got? More math, because those those MPD numbers are here, my boy. I hope you didn't put your calculators away. They're still being used right now. Let's talk some more numbers.
Right. So just real quick, a disclaimer: the reason why the Switch wasn't included in MPD numbers is because Nintendo doesn't get reported by MPD. MPD doesn't pick up the Nintendo sales, so Nintendo's numbers are always broken out on their own. They have some estimates at sometimes, or most times they really have no clue unless Nintendo says something.
Right.
So with that said, MPD numbers for November is out, and they're pretty interesting. Is one of the reasons I brought it up, because PlayStation 4 outsold the Xbox One. You know, that's been standard, right?
It's par for the course.
Par for the course. I mean, last year, a couple of months after the Xbox One S was released, Microsoft picked up some momentum. But all in all, PlayStation 4 outsells the Xbox One. But with PlayStation 4 outselling the Xbox in total units, Xbox generated more revenue, which means that and what's really interesting about that number is the PlayStation 4, both of them were selling at heavy discounts during the month of November. Right. I think the PlayStation was $199 and Xbox was even less at $189. There were some bundles that were $229 up to $250, but the base models were $189 for Xbox One S, and the PlayStation 4 was $199, and then the PlayStation 4 Pro was typically running at $399. There were some sales that had it at $349, and then you had the Xbox One S that was released for $500. The fact that Microsoft generated more revenue indicates that the Microsoft's One X sold pretty well, because I mean, if you think about it, Sony is selling a $200 PlayStations. For every one Xbox One X, it takes two PlayStations to match that in revenue generated. So, it's really interesting. I would love to see what the Xbox One X did. The numbers broken out, but it seems that they did pretty well, considering that Microsoft trumped Sony in the amount of revenue brought in during the month of November.
Yeah, I mean, just think how much more revenue they would have if they just had some games. I mean, just think about that for a second.
Yeah, give me the games, right? Give me the games. Yeah. So I mean, I find that interesting.
Yeah, I mean, we have the numbers listed, so anybody that wants to take a look at it in its entirety can definitely do so. We'll post that in the show notes on our Facebook page, so you can check that out. And
then just real quick over software sales. The number one selling game, of course, was the Call of Duty. Call of Duty World War II was number one on all the charts. It's number one overall, number one on Xbox One, number one on PlayStation 4. It's number one selling game in the month of November. Then after that, the next games were, and this is
shocking.
Star Wars Battlefront 2.
Shocking.
Considering the loot box issue, it's a bit surprising.
Making money.
It doesn't surprise me because it's Star Wars.
True.
And that's part of the reason why it was such a big story and it got picked up so much, because it's Star Wars. Star Wars Battlefront 2 was the number 2 selling game in the month of November, followed by Assassin's Creed Origins, and then the sports balls. NBA 2K18 and Madden NFL 18 were 4 and 5. I think Mario Odyssey wound up 6.
6, yeah.
Yeah. So that's the only, that's the first.
That's the only Switch game in the top 10.
Yeah,
the only other Nintendo game in the top 10 is Pokemon Ultra Sun.
Right, but it's the only exclusive that was in there. The 6 console exclusive that was in the top 10. Am I wrong with that? I thought that was it. There were no other exclusive games in the top 10.
Well, Pokemon as well.
Oh yeah,
that was number 10. Yeah,
that was number 10. Yeah.
Yeah. So the only 2 Nintendo games, and by extension the only other exclusive games or non multi-platform games were 6 and 10. So Mario and Pokemon. So very, very interesting. Grand Theft Auto was number 13, so we've pushed it out of the top 10.
It's still there.
But it's still there.
Go away.
It's still there,
Go
man.
away,
It's never going away.
I mean, there was not many others. Middle Earth still is holding in there. I mean, for a couple-month-old game. South Park is still up there. Wolfenstein. All those games came out in October, right?
Yeah.
So they're still hanging in there. I mean, nothing overly surprising, I guess, other than Battlefront being so high.
Yeah. Especially with everything that we've been talking about.
Right.
All right, so we have one more story in our top 5 news stories for this week. Let's go ahead and tackle it. What we got?
Take-Two opens an indie publishing label.
Yeah, and if you're unfamiliar with who Take-Two is, they're the parent company for the 2K games. So like your NBA 2K, the WWE games, and a couple of others.
Grand Theft Auto,
and Grand Theft Auto, the Rockstar guys.
Mm-hmm.
So they're the parent company for those two. And go ahead.
Yeah, so they opened a new studio. It's called Private Division. They're going to be exclusively publishing indie games. And they actually have a couple of big names on board already.
Right.
They have a game from the Assassin's Creed creator, a game from a studio called The Outsiders, which is a studio that was started by a pair of developers from DICE.
Mm-hmm.
They have a game from Marcus Lato, who is a Halo co-creator, and they have a game from the Fallout New Vegas developers. So I mean,
that's Obsidian, right?
Obsidian Entertainment. Yeah. So they have a couple of big names in the gaming industry that's going to be bringing games out for them. So I guess it's kind of cool. I'm not sure what their hands. I know there was, and I forget which game. There was immediately questions because Take-Two is notorious loot box purveyor.
Yes.
And one of the games, I want to say it was the Outsiders game, but I don't remember which one it is. It was the RPG game. I'm sorry, but it just slips my mind. But people immediately started worrying that, oh no, now these games are going to be loaded with loot boxes and so on and so forth. And the developer came out on a video and said, hey, look, there are no loot boxes in my game. There's not going to be any loot boxes, and we're not going to accept any push to have any loot boxes into the game. So there's that.
This is a very interesting. What am I trying to say? This is a very interesting thing that's going on with this. Because Take-Two, they've come out and publicly stated that loot boxes are the way of the future. We're going to try to milk customers as much as possible, and then they go ahead and do something like this, which gives a lot of creative control to the developers.
Right.
They are going to be in more compact or concise teams where they don't have to worry about a whole 200 member studio or anything like that. Very, very small teams, but with a lot of talent. It's going to be very interesting how these small groups of very talented people come together and try to make quote unquote indie games. And it's also very interesting as to how the indie scene is going to continue now that this has become the new norm. Because with everything that breeds success, it's also going to breed copycatters.
Right. They're copying because all the major studios have done this, right? EA has an indie arm now. Activision did an indie arm. I think even Ubisoft did. So
and maybe I'm misunderstanding what the previous companies were doing. My interpretation of what those previous companies were doing was that they were bringing in already existing or smaller indie studios and just publishing their games,
right?
Not creating a indie studio
for people to work in
for people that are already established,
right?
Because there's some huge names in some of these teams that are going to be making these indie games.
Right. Right. It looks like
It's kind of like a different environment, you know?
yeah, yeah. It seems to me is what I look at it is it seems to me that the indie scene is becoming ultra competitive, and this is their bundle to make it more more I hate it. I lose my words. To make developers more likely to come to them as opposed to going to Activision or go to EA or Ubisoft or their indie studios set up or have their games published with them is more likely that they'll come to Take-Two because they have this particular setup in place, this particular support system in place for them.
Yeah. Yeah. So, very, very interesting and very unexpected, seeing as how, you know, in the last few weeks, you know, they were singing a very different tune.
Well, they're still singing that tune.
Well, yeah,
for their products, for their first
party,
their first party developed games. I mean, Red Dead's going to have it. GTA 5 has it, and as far as I can see, everything that they release first party is going to have it. But it looks like they're not going to push it on these indie developers.
Oh, that's gonna be really interesting to see. I've actually found myself in 2017 enjoying a lot of indie games, so we'll see what comes out of it. I can't wait to see some progress.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was our top 5 news stories. Let us know what you think about this one or any of the other stories that we spoke of today. You can leave us comments on our social media. You can also leave comments down in the comment section on the YouTube or wherever it is that you are consuming this media. And with that, we can move on to the next segment, which is, you know, and this is everybody's favorite, This Week in Loot Boxes. It's become a reoccurring theme on this show. I feel like loot boxes, it's definitely something that people are getting tired of. You know, news fatigue is a very real thing, but I feel like, you know, the moment we stop talking about it, the moment it's not a major issue is the moment where everything will just go back to the way it was. We cannot have that happen. So, in This Week in Loot Boxes, we have a game called Rift. It's an MMO created by, oh God, what are their names? Trion Worlds or something like that?
Yeah, Trion.
Yeah, Triton Worlds or something like that. I can't remember.
It's Trion.
Yeah, Trion Worlds. There we go. Trion Worlds. They have an MMO called Rift that came out quite some time ago.
Yeah, it's an old game.
It's a pretty old game. Has a very small community and a very small active player base. Over the last week, they came out with a purchasable loot box for a mount. And this loot box was $100 each. Each loot box costs you $100, and it would give you the opportunity
a chance
of getting a rare quote unquote mount to, you know, basically run around this old ass world in. And of course, once people got wind of it, you know, they took to the internet and people came out in droves and you know, explained that this is definitely not where it's at. I mean, come on, if you're gonna sell a $100 mount, sell me a $100 mount, dude. Do not put it leave it up to chance, because some of these mounts can range from, like, you know, beastly looking like demon dogs or wolves to like a freaking squirrel.
Right, a weird, or like this weird parrot with no wings.
Yeah, weird parrots, unicorn bunnies, and it's crazy. And if you were a completionist or a collector or whatever, this will cost you up to like what was it, like $4,300? Or something like that.
Yeah, it's silly.
Somebody did the math and said that you can purchase every item on the Nintendo Switch eShop and it'll cost you like less money.
Golly.
Yeah. Yeah. So, you know, of course, with the backlash that came with it, you know, they ended up pulling it. A developer or somebody, the director of community relations, released a statement on their official forums, basically stating that they're gonna they pulled the purchase. You can no longer purchase it. It's gone. And they're going to be off for the Christmas break, so you probably won't hear. You're not going to hear anything from them until after January. Until January,
it's like, hey, look, we're out of have 5. Pull this at 450, and we'll see you in January.
Yeah, we'll see you all in January. It was actually really weird too, because when they initially put it out, it was a limited time thing, so you can only get it for a very limited amount of time before it went away. So they were doing the most to just try and get people to just spend their money, just like, oh, it's limited a time. Oh, you can't get it anywhere else. It's like just playing on people's preying on
people. Yeah, and that's horrible. And this is the problem with loot boxes, because this is what the companies are doing. They're dangling these little carrots in front of you. And like I said, $100. Okay, it's one thing to sell me $100 digital mount. It's another thing to sell me $100 chance at a digital mount, and that's a problem.
Yeah, it's a major problem. And while this is a very old, I think it came out in 2011. This game is old as hell. So while this is a small victory, it is a victory nonetheless. And we just have to keep on keeping on. Gotta keep the fight going, because there were talks about it on the unofficial subreddit for the game, and I think one of the CEOs or somebody actually came out and made a statement, and it was like, okay, that's all well and good, but with everything that's going on right now, like, what in the right mind? What possessed you to go about this the way that you did? Like, it's like, come on now,
get out of here.
Get out of here.
Right.
And for such a small player base on such an old game, get out of here, man. I can't with you. I can't with you guys. So for all 6 of you who are still playing Rift, congratulations. Round of applause to you. We have taken down another greedy motherfucker that wanted to just like take your money for, take away your Christmas money. It's freaking crazy. It doesn't make any sense, man. I really hate shit like this.
Yeah, it didn't. It's a money grab or a publicity stunt or both.
Yeah.
Either way, it's in horribly bad taste.
Yeah. Horribly bad taste. And unfortunately, I guess fortunately enough, that's going to be it for this week in loot boxes. Just wow, just wow with some of these guys. I don't know what's going on. Let's go ahead and move on to the next segment, and that's going to be our long form discussion. And long form discussion is where what's up?
No, go ahead. I'm just laughing because of what we're going to be talking about.
Yeah, it's where we take a subject or topic and we deep dive into it. Without further delay, let's go ahead and get into it. And this week we are going to be talking about net neutrality. And
net neutrality.
Yeah, this is a very hot topic issue. Everybody's been talking about. Oh my god!
Or as I've heard them call, idiot pie.
Idiot pie. This is pretty important to us, but it should be pretty important to a lot of you. Being gamers, it definitely affects you. It affects us all.
It's gonna So
it happened on Thursday.
Yeah, this past Thursday, the FCC voted along party lines, and the way the FCC is set up is there's always 2 Republicans and 2 Democrats, and then the chair, who's the tiebreaker, and the chair is appointed by the sitting president. And obviously we have a Republican sitting as president now, so he appointed a Republican FCC commissioner, who's Ajit Pai. And if you didn't know, Ajit Pai is a former legal counsel of Big Red Verizon.
Yeah, the big red check mark.
Yeah. He's former legal counsel for Verizon. So, I mean, there's strike 2, right?
It's like, how can that not be a conflict of interest? Like, really?
Exactly. But the thing is, Tom Wheeler, who was the previous FCC chair, was executive at Comcast before he took the, and he didn't do. Everybody thought this is what he would do, and he didn't do it. He did actually the opposite. But basically, what happened was back in 2015.
Yeah.
Tom Wheeler classified internet providers as a Title I company, which Title I means is they're a common carrier. They got to share the pipes. They can't restrict services. Prior to 2015, they were considered an information service, which allowed them to do funny stuff with your packets. And this all came about back in 2005 in a lawsuit by Comcast. So Comcast was blocking BitTorrent, and the FCC said, "Hey, you can't do that." And they took the FCC to court. The judge ruled, said, "Hey, look, they're information service provider. They can actually do that, FCC. You don't have any right to block them unless you reclassify them as a common carrier, or, the Senate comes up with some law classifying it as such."
Right.
So in 2015, they changed the classification. So this past Thursday, Ajit Pai and his cronies changed it back. So what does that mean to you? It's not the end of the internet as you know it. In fact, in a perfect world, this is actually probably better for them to be an information service than a common carrier. The problem with it is for it to be effective for a consumer, or for it to be consumer friendly, it has to be competition. If there's no competition, that's what the problem is. And in the United States, I think only 62% of Americans only have one choice of carrier in their area, in their locale. They have who they have, or they have no internet. That's the way it works.
Yeah.
I think if you go, 86% of Americans have either one or two choices. I think it's only 6 or 8% have a choice of three or more. Or more than three, I think it is. So it's the competition here in the United States is problematic.
Yeah, it's very scarce, especially if you are on, where we live. We're on the East Coast. There is basically two choices out here.
Yep, Verizon and Comcast.
That's pretty much it.
That's it. And that's how it is in most places. And in most places, not even that. It's just one. It's either the local old incumbent phone company, be it Verizon, AT&T. You got Frontier in some places. You have CenturyLink in other places, or it's the cable companies, be it Time Warner or Comcast or Cox, or one of those guys. And that's who you have. And is really exacerbated in the rural areas when you go to middle America, where it's not a lot of population. We're lucky where we're at to have just two. But what this actually means is that these carriers now can prioritize or play favorites with your packets. So a scenario would be the carrier ISP saying, well, it's a lot of traffic coming across Netflix. So Netflix, you need to pay me money to keep carrying your traffic, or we're gonna throttle your service. And if either Netflix is gonna have throttled service, and people are gonna be like, Netflix sucks, and move off of Netflix, or Netflix is gonna pay for it. And if you're thinking, well, okay, Netflix is paying for it. Who cares? You should care, because now your Netflix bill is gonna go up. So at the end of the day,
no more like $10 streaming. Yeah. Rest in peace to that.
Yeah, the bill is going to go up, or they can do things where, and Trenell, you talked about this earlier, where they can do data packages. They can set up where, and this is going to be an issue for gamers. And I've noticed a lot of people saying this, and it happens. Gamers are attacked first. Mm-hmm. They can have the gamer level internet, where if you don't pay for the gamer level internet for $5 or $10 more a month, you're going to have high latency and low speeds. And as a gamer, high latency and low speeds is a problem.
Yeah.
And so they'll say, oh, you want a game, we'll prioritize your package. You have the fastest internet, the least amount of latency, but you're going to have to pay extra for it. Or they can do bundles where, they set up a deal with Maybe they set up a deal with Facebook and YouTube, and Facebook and YouTube works flawlessly, and anything else is
It's
less
garbage.
flawless.
Yeah.
So, I mean, those are the issues that can come to fruition. And the problem is, and we've seen Comcast do this.
Yep.
Comcast in Florida, because they are the dominant carrier and they don't have any competition, started implementing data caps.
Yep, they actually did it here for a very, very limited amount of time, and it was while I was working there. And being a employee, it wasn't something that I had to worry about. But when I learned that there were data caps on internet, and like had to learn about what to say to customers, like Comcast, I don't know how they like rolled it out or whatever, but people were confused and people were furious because this was during, right around the time where streaming like Netflix and stuff like that were getting really popular. YouTube was starting to like up its like quality, so you weren't watching videos at 480p or anything like that anymore. So we were consuming a lot more data, just by being on the internet. So when you get a bill that tells you that you went over on your monthly data cap, and it would be by large amounts too. So, yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I was
like
just saying,
people were going over like hundreds of gigs on their bill, and it's like, how am I supposed to reduce that?
Right.
Yeah, it was weird, dude, and I honestly didn't know how to deal with it. I was like, I don't know.
Right, because when you're at home, like on your phone, people like you go, okay, I got 10 gigabytes. I barely ever go over 10 gigabytes on my phone. But what people don't realize is when you're out and about on your phone, you think you're on your phone a lot. You're not on your phone as much as you think. When you're at home and you're consuming, you've got PCs, you've got phones, you've got TVs, you got gaming systems, you got tablets, you got laptops, if you got smart devices, all of this stuff is pulling down data. I challenge anybody that's watching right now, if you have an Xbox, I'm not sure on PlayStation 4, you probably can do it, but I'm not sure if you can. But if you have an Xbox, go look at your network consumption. You're going to be over hundreds of gigabytes. I looked at mine just before the show. For the past 30-day period, I had 590 gigabytes of data usage. That's downloads and online play and stuff. So when you start putting caps on that, it's easy to blow past that, especially people that are doing cord cutting and are streaming all of their content through Hulu, through Netflix. Maybe they got PS View and they're doing live TV streaming or the YouTube TV service or what have you. And the reason Comcast stopped is because they started getting their lunch eaten with people leaving to go to Verizon because Verizon was readily available. They haven't stopped it in Florida. They still do it in Florida.
No, they had to. I remember seeing it on the back of a bill saying that they would they're postponing quote unquote the data limit because they didn't know how to deal with it. It was like you give people. I don't remember
and it
what
was
the cap
small.
was.
It was like 50 or 90 gigabytes.
It was like 100 gigs. It was like 100 gigs, and like people were calling in complaining. Like it's like, dude, like not even on purpose. I use about 500 gigs a month. Like what we gonna do? Like they were trying to. It was crazy. It was a little bit of a problem.
They tried it in Atlanta as well, and they stopped it in Atlanta because AT&T has a fiber service down there. AT&T Uverse, I think it's called. So I mean, and that's the problem. That's the problem with this vote. So there's two sides to that story. Here, where they tried to put it on the people in this area, they had to quickly back off of it because there was competition. The other carrier wasn't doing it, and people were like, okay, I can stay here and get nickel to dime with the data caps. I can go here and have unlimited data, and they went to the unlimited, right? But in places where you don't have that option, they have that particular data cap in place right now. I think right now it's like a terabyte, and after a terabyte, it's $10 for every 20 gigabytes or something like that.
Fuck no.
Yeah, it's something silly like that. Or $10 for every 100 gigabytes. It's something crazy like that. Or you can pay an extra $35 to take the data cap off.
My God.
So when there's no choice, these are the type of abuses that come in. And again, if they decide that they want to make tiered internet where gamers get faster latency. You know, when we see packets coming off your PlayStation, we're going to prioritize that, or your Netflix is not going to count against your caps. And when you start seeing stuff like that, when there's no competition, there's really nothing you can do. What can you do? You can't go to your cell phone service because they do the same thing. So we're stuck up. We're stuck up a creek without a paddle.
And this is just just a small instance of what could possibly happen. You know, when you give these corporations who have tried to throttle internet despite the rules that were in place, it's going to breed, it's gonna breed corruption. I mean, like there's instances where, let's say like a politician that donates, or they have some kind of like lobbying like agreement or whatever, does something crazy. Oh, well, if you have Verizon internet, you won't be able to see that. They'll either like throttle the connection to like Twitter or something like that, or just outright block anything dealing with that issue, because that person is very important to this company or whatever. Right. It makes a very important contributions to to that or whatever. It just breeds nonsense. These rules were put in place to protect consumers. And so it's like the FCC's job is supposed to be to protect consumers, and they have just decided that they're not going to do that anymore.
They're not going to, because they're in the pockets of these ISPs. This is what the ISPs want, and this is what they've wanted for a long time.
It's what they've been lobbying for quite some time.
Right, since 2015, they were lobbying to get. They spent a ton of money to try to block Wheeler. They even threatened to sue to block Tom Wheeler from implementing the rules that he implemented. And Ajit just comes and turns them around. The problem is the issue, again, is, to be quite honest, internet service is neither a common carrier service nor is it an information service. It's something outside of those definitions, and we need Congress to actually write legislation to define what internet service is, and write legislation to put rules in place, because until we do that, we can have this every 4 years. Because in 2020, if our fearless orange leader gets voted out and we get somebody else new, and obviously it'll be a Democrat, they're gonna put a Democrat head of the FCC, and they're gonna flip the switch. It's gonna be back to a common carrier, and this back and forth is not doing anybody any good. No. And to be quite honest, the way it's set up now as an information service, that again is probably the best way to set it up, but it will only work if there's competition. So either Congress has to craft legislation to better define what the internet services providers are, or they have to craft legislation to stop these the current incumbents from blocking competition. Because the way it works now is all the telephone poles are owned by whatever carrier is there. You got to pay them, and they can. That's part of the reason why Google Fiber has so much time. The carriers weren't letting them run their lines up against their poles. They were making them trench new lines, and the trench lines is super expensive. It's something like $50,000 a mile. Is crazy expensive. So it gets to that point.
You can't use already you can't use pre-existing like lines or whatever, because that's owned by somebody else.
Right. They're not sharing the lines. They're not sharing the right of ways. And the way the rules are written, they have every right to do that. So unless they change those rules, they either have to change those rules that allow the incumbents to prevent competition, new carriers from competing, or they have to redefine internet service providers to something. And again, I don't think they're neither a common carrier nor information service. There's something in between. They're like a hybrid of the two. Yeah. And they have to come up with what they are and write rules on how they can behave. And until that's done, we're just always every 4 years
back and forth.
Every 4 years we're going to be having this net neutrality conversation.
Yeah.
And like I said, as it affects gamers, I mean, I hope I'd never see this anywhere. I'll keep my eye open. But again, if ISP right now, if they decide, hey, look, gaming takes a ton of bandwidth, and we're going to throttle gamers unless they pay us extra money a month, that's going to be a problem.
That's going to be a problem because not everybody has extra money
No,
per month.
not at all.
And depending on how much they want to charge is like,
right. And again,
it can be a little ridiculous.
Right. And again, if you're in the area where you only have one carrier, you don't have a choice. You either have to pay what they tell you or you go without internet.
It's going to be a very interesting time. I mean, even though the vote went through,
the rules
won't take place for about another year or so.
No.
Another year.
No. It's going to be a couple months. So basically, now they voted in the rules. They voted in the rules. The rules have to be logged in the congressional library or whatever.
Okay.
That can take anywhere from 2 months. It could take 2 to 6 months.
But I mean, we also have the appeal process.
Oh yeah, the appeals there's no appeal process. There's going to be lawsuits.
Well, yeah, the lawsuits. Yeah.
There'll be lawsuits. Yeah. But to put the rules will be on the books in 2 to 6 months. They'll be on the books, and once they're on the books, it's been changed.
Now, I mean, shoot, Comcast has already taken down their net neutrality page off their website. They're like, "Yep, it's over.
Yep,
take it down."
Yeah, AT&T did. AT&T changed theirs. Actually, they changed the wording to basically say, "Yeah, we're not going to care about net neutrality, but whatever." I guess all we can do is wait and see what's going to happen.
Just pay attention to your bill, dude. When that thing come in the mail or come in your email, you better read that fine print, my boy.
Right, and I implore you guys, if you want change, something serious that's going to stick, don't write them a letter, call them, because calling gets you the best response. You call them and tell them you want them to take up this net neutrality issue. You want them to write a law to classify ISPs, internet service providers. Call them. I mean, I have an app on my phone. It's called like a U.S. Congressional something. It uses geolocation. Mm-hmm. So once you download the app, you let it use your GPS services. It'll tell you who your reps are and give you their numbers, email addresses, office addresses, tell you what bills they voted for, and all the other good stuff. Just call your local, call your representative, and tell them, look, they need to do something about this because this is no good.
Yeah, it's no good. And I will definitely not be paying for the gamer package. I'm pay too much as it is for shoddy internet. Yeah. But that was our long form discussion. I mean, I know that net neutrality has been a hot topic issue for quite some time, but we would love to know your thoughts on it. Leave your comments down in the comment section of wherever it is that you are consuming this media, or hit us up on our social media. Just let us know what you think about Thursday's vote. With that, let's go ahead and move on to the next segment, and we're going to do our final thoughts. This is the part where we revisit a select few of the stories that we talked about today and just give our final 2 cents on it. Boogie, I'll let you go ahead and start. Let's give our final thoughts.
I'm actually super excited for the Disney acquisition to meld the X-Men into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I'm excited to see what's going to come of that. Street Fighter V, the Blanca and Sagat and Sakura and Cody. That's super cool. I was already going to be getting the arcade edition, so yeah, it'd be cool to get my hands on those fighters when I can. The Atari box, what is it? I don't know what it is.
Yeah, what is that?
The Crytek story, that seems a little fishy as far as what Crytek is doing, considering that Star Citizen is using a forked version of Crytek legally, but we'll have to see how that goes. That the party chat coming to the mobile, like we said, is a great supplement, is definitely not a primary service. Ubisoft had a lot of news. The dedicated servers in For Honor, maybe you fix connection, it still is not going to fix that game. The Predator in Ghost Wildland and Ghost Recon, that's super cool. Assassin's Creed Origins, I'm going to start playing you on tomorrow.
Do it.
The delays, as long as it's going to make the game better and more polished, I have no problems with that. Bungie, you just can't get out of your way. Nintendo's, I'm gonna lump these two, Nintendo Switch and NPD numbers. The Nintendo Switch is selling like hotcakes. It'd be interesting to see if they can maintain the momentum. The sales with the PlayStation versus Xbox is not surprising. The only thing that is surprising is the difference in revenue. I'm considering more PlayStation units were sold, but Microsoft generate more revenue. That's super interesting. The indie publishing label that's cool. It's nice that indie developers have somewhere to go to get their content out and support it. It's a better way to get these games seen, because a lot of indie games go way under the radar and they are gems.
Yep.
These guys at Rift, Tryon, whatever you guys are, man, you sit and spin. And finally, this FCC net neutrality thing. Again, ISPs are neither a common carrier or information service provider. They are something that's not those. I want to see legislation by Congress, and I implore you to contact your local congressman. Again, call them, call or fax, because that's what they see. If you send the electronic stuff, there's still a little. I mean, you've seen congressmen; they're like Walking Dead. So they don't understand technology, but when you call them, they have aides, or when you send faxes, they have aides that get those faxes and those calls to them. Call them and let them know that you want them to craft legislation that actually properly classifies what an internet service provider is and how they can act.
Yeah. I'm gonna just start from the top here. As far as the Disney acquiring 21st Century Fox, I'm very excited. I want to see some more X-Men related stuff. It's been way too long since we've had like really good like X-Men stuff like outside of movies. You know, I want a new animated series, and I want some more video games. Go ahead, make it happen.
Speaking of animated series, I'm sorry, this is way.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Did you see the Spider-Man?
Yeah, the Spider-Man animated movie. Yeah.
Oh
yeah.
my gosh,
that's looking dope. Spider-Verse is a very interesting story.
Yeah.
I'm kind of confused. Like this might be like a trilogy of movies. Spider-Verse is not a like one. You can't do that in an hour and a half. No. So I'm very very curious as to how they're gonna do that. But that looks dope. But back to the final thoughts. I'm very excited for season 3 of Street Fighter V. I've been looking for an excuse to get back on it for quite some time. Cody might be that reason. We don't know what the Atari box is, so it is not surprising that they delayed pre-orders. They're probably going to delay it again until they can get more information out on it. It's probably not even ready for pre-orders. It's probably not even nearly ready to come out. I don't know what the hell they're doing with it, but we'll see what happens. Party Check coming to Xbox Mobile. It's a pretty cool supplement, like you said, but not a main feature. It's shameful that Nintendo thought that they can get away with the Party app on, and it only works on Splatoon. Whatever. Ubisoft definitely putting in work. We've said this before. They seem to be pretty dedicated when it comes to prolonging the longevity of some of their titles. This includes For Honor. With all of the updates and changes that they've done on that game over time, and adding new content to Ghost Recon Wildlands. It definitely seems that they're on the up and up. Assassin's Creed Origins, if you haven't played it, I highly recommend it. I will give the Horde mode a try, but I'm probably not going to get into the Nightmare difficulty. Not saddened at all at the delay of Far Cry 5. Crew 2, I'm not so interested in that, but anything that will make Far Cry 5 a awesome experience, I'm down for it. So 1 month is not going to kill me. Bungie, they just need to stop shooting themselves in the foot, man. It's like every week, Bungie's just coming back and retracting something that they did. I don't know. I don't play Destiny, and I'm not going to start, because of all of this.
as big as a fan as I am, I couldn't recommend Destiny 2. If you're not already playing it, if you don't already have it, if you're not already in the Destiny universe,
you gotta be loaded.
Right. If you're not already in there, I wouldn't recommend anybody to try to jump in it.
Yeah, no, I'm good. Not surprising. The Nintendo Switch has outsold the Wii. The Wii U. The Wii U has to be like one of the worst selling consoles in recent years. It's basically Nintendo's Dreamcast, except they weren't Sega and they had like a lot more money.
Yeah.
So
they still had Mario.
Yeah, they still had Mario. So not surprised at the sales figures for the Switch. I'm also not surprised at the NPD numbers. Modern Warfare, not Modern Warfare, but World War II. Appears to be a pretty solid game. I haven't heard too many complaints from it about it. Not nearly as many complaints as Infinite Warfare. So looks like they did right by the consumer. I've been done with Call of Duty for quite some time.
Infinite Warfare wasn't a bad game.
It just wasn't what people wanted. Apparently,
yeah, they don't like the future war.
Yeah, they don't like future. Yeah,
yeah.
But that's neither here nor there in my opinion. The indie publishing label. I'm very interested in that. Like I said, I've been playing a lot of indie games in 2017, so I look forward to seeing what genres of game come out of this new indie publishing label from the guys over at Take-Two. I would like to see more platformers, more beat 'em ups, and some more like action puzzle games. Like those are the kind of games that I grew up on. So playing those and having a great time and some new experiences in 2017 was very refreshing. For me, at least. Rift, man, get the fuck out of here, dog. $100 loot box for a limited time in a freaking game that's over 10 years. Man, get old. The hell out of here, man. Old ass MMO. Don't nobody even play that trash, man. Y'all wrong for that. Get the hell out of here. And as far as net neutrality, man, I don't know. Like you said, if we don't get something put in place that classifies the internet, puts the internet in its own classification, we're just going to keep going through this issue over and over again. I just don't like the Ajit Pai. I don't like his fucking smug ass attitude. I don't like that. I don't like that guy.
Did you see his Yeah,
I saw a stupid ass video. Yeah. It made me want to punch him in the face, man.
Oh my god!
Why is his lips so red all the time? What the fuck you doing with those lips, man? Get the fuck out of here!
He's an alcoholic, man.
Oh man, I just want to smack. He's a very smackable face.
He's got those wino lips. That's those wino lips.
I don't know what the fuck those are, man.
You ever, I grew up in New York, so in New York,
winos,
the brown bag winos, their lips will always be like pink like that.
Yeah, it's ugly ass dude. I don't know, man. He's just annoying. But yeah, that's my final thoughts. Let us know what you guys think in the comment section below, or you can hit us up on our social media. We are on Twitter at AWGamingNS. We're also on Facebook, a weekly gaming news show, or you can look us up by our call letters, AWGNS. If you're taking us on the go, we definitely appreciate you. Boogie, let them know where they can listen to us if they want to do so.
We're on iTunes, TuneIn Radio, and in the Google Play Store. We're also on the general podcasting directory. So if you're using a podcasting app, you can find us a weekly gaming news show or AWGNS. Go to iTunes, go to Google Play, leave us a comment, leave us a rating, let us know what you think we can fix, or what you would like to see, and we'll take that into account.
Yes, that was very excellently said, my boy. We're also on YouTube. Hit us up, weekly gaming news show. We have the weekly gaming news 10 and 10. I have the first impressions video series that I have on there, and we're trying to bring more and more content to the channel. So make sure that you subscribe. Get us to 100 subscribers so that we can get that custom URL, and then maybe after that we can do something special for you guys. We're getting close to 100. It would be a shame to not hit 100 subscribers by episode 100. So help us get there. We want to grow the podcast, and we want to grow alongside you guys. So definitely engage with us. Let us know, your thoughts and opinions on these topics. And with that, I guess we can go ahead and bounce up out of here.
That's it.
Again, this has been a weekly gaming news show, episode 79, and we are your hosts. My name is Trenell.
I'm Todd.
And we will catch you all
next week.
Peace.
Peace.